Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the Betting Pros Podcast, brought to you by BetMGM. I'm your host, Dan Harris. Find me on Twitter at DanHarris80. It is time for an early look at the Week 3 NFL lines. Here with me to do that is our good friend Andrew Caley, senior content producer over at Covers. Find him on Twitter at Covers_Caley. That is Caley. Andrew, it's a big day over there for you in Canada. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule and joining me.
Yeah, we've got the Canadian federal election. For all of us Blue Jays fan, every game is a nail biter at this point, going down the wire. And Monday Night Football, there's a lot going on.
I totally knew today was the federal election day in Canada. Like, I don't know why you think that I wouldn't know that, or that I was completely shocked when you came on and mentioned that. I'm very into Canadian politics. Don't worry, it'll be fun. But yes, obviously you've got the Blue Jays. We're watching the game right now. It is currently 14-7 Lions. A little shocking here what we've got, but we'll deal with that. That might impact how we feel about this Green Bay line for next week. But before we get into it again, we're going to go through every spread, every over-under. We're going to see if there's value now. We're going to talk about whether or not we expect the line to move. All of that good stuff. Before we get into a couple of housekeeping things, first, let me tell you about the latest offer from BetMGM. For new customers, you bet $10 on any event, and you win $150 in free bets when you use the code JUICE100. Why is the code JUICE100? That is from our other podcast, which you should also check out with Matt Peralt, called The Daily Juice. You can find that wherever you want. So that is free money. You bet $10, you win $150 in free bets, regardless of the result, all with the code JUICE100 for new users. Second, we are doing a giveaway. It's a signed Tua Tagovailoa giveaway. That is unfortunate right now, obviously, dealing with the bruised ribs, but you can still have a signed jersey. It's still going to be amazing. Entry is very simple. Leave a review for the podcast on Apple Podcast or CastBox. Then go to bettingpros.com/review. That is it. And if you want 3 times the entries, just subscribe to our Betting Pros YouTube channel, youtube.com/bettingpros. Every Sunday morning from 11 a.m. Eastern to 12 p.m. Eastern, Matt Peralt and I go through every single game, give our best bets, and some player props. So you should go there. Again, that's youtube.com/bettingpros. All right, let's get to the games, and let's start with the Thursday night game here, Andrew. The Panthers are visiting the Texans. The Texans are getting 7.5 points. And the over-under, don't worry about it because I totally switched to both my tabs to be on the spread. The over-under is 44. 44. You've got it. I'm saying you can host the show. My bad. I'm all over the place, as you know. We were talking right before. I had 17 tabs open, and I was losing it. Anyway, so that's what we've got. Do you see any value in either of these numbers?
I'd have to say with the Panthers right now, I saw the line hit the board at 7. It's already gone to 7.5. Panthers have looked good the first 2 weeks. The Sam Darnold haters, I know you're a Jets fan. I haven't been on.
I'm not a hater though. I mean, I feel bad for him. I'm happy. I'm happy that he gets a chance to show if he can be a competent NFL quarterback. Good looking so far. You know, not that bad.
I think Matt Rule has a big part, and Joe Brady have a big part in the way he's looked so far. They're a very good head coach, offensive coordinator combo. They went out there and they beat a Saints team. Well, we're going to find out. Maybe this, I was joking with you the other day. We're going to find out if this tanking Aaron Rodgers thing is real or not. Right.
You did call it.
Maybe this the win over the Saints isn't that impressive if the Packers are just tanking. But no, now Davis Mills in at quarterback for the Texans. It looks like the Texans, I'll give them credit too. They did look better. I made a bet before the season that they'd go 0-17.
Wow, that's easy. That you cannot not sweat that out for too long.
Except you have to sit there and look at it in your tickets for the rest of the season. But no, they have some veteran players there. I just don't know if they're going to be able to do it against this line. And these are going to be publicly bet games on Thursday nights when it's the only game on the board. The favorite will probably see some action. You can maybe, if you like the dog, I'll wait a little longer until that, maybe closer to kickoff, and maybe there'll be a nice little middling opportunity for us here in this one.
Yeah, I don't see it getting back down to 7. I mean, do you? Like, I just
no.
Yeah, I hit it when it was 7 because I think that's, I mean, look, you never know, right? I mean, every NFL game, the worst NFL team still has premier athletes at every position. Every team plays as hard as they can, but Davis Mills is just not ready to be an NFL quarterback. That obviously wasn't really the plan. This is where we find ourselves. So I agree. If you like the Panthers at this number, which is fine if you do, bet it now, because if not, it's probably moving. The total, I mean, I don't know, man. Like, I don't really, a 44, like, I have no idea if the Texans are going to be able to put up any points whatsoever. So it's just something where I'm not even getting involved at all with the total. How about you?
I would stay away. I was one of those victims last week. I was for sure that Washington Giants game was going to go under 40.5, and then they put up almost 60. So this early, there have been some very, I don't know what to say here. Sobering results so far in the NFL season through 2 weeks. So this one, it all depends on if the Texans can score or not. I'm not sure. I would probably stay away as well.
Total stay away from me as well. What about the Chargers visiting the Chiefs? This is a fascinating game, actually. I'm really excited to watch it. Chiefs are laying 6.5 points, and the total is 55.5, which I like now that the totals are just like, look, it's just 55, 56, no big deal. Like, this is just every game right now. What do you think here of these numbers?
It's a good example of what I was just saying a moment ago. Last week, everybody was for sure that Dallas and San Diego was going to go over that total. I think it was about 53, and everyone I talked to was on the over in that game. And then we get 40 points scored. Now, that said, there was some very questionable refereeing in that game, and there was a bunch of points taken off the board for the Chargers. I really like the way that Justin Herbert has looked this year so far, especially finding that connection with Mike Williams. He could be a big breakout star this year for the Chargers. But 55 is a big number, and it looks like it's going to keep going up. So I'd probably wait and let it go up. I could see myself teasing it down in a bunch of teasers too, around to that 50, and maybe taking teasing it up even higher. Gets up to 57, and I'll maybe tease it up to 63 or something like that, and take the under there.
I imagine there's going to be scoring here. Like, frankly, I don't think I would tease it up, because there would be no number that I would feel okay about, right? An angry Patrick Mahomes this game. By the way, I'm going to let go the fact that you called them San Diego when you talked about. By the way, it's remarkable, right? You and I talk about like sports all day long, whether it's betting for me, betting and fantasy and stuff like that. And the other day I did a video and I called them the Oakland Raiders. Like, some things you can't get out of your head. I don't know. But anyway, I just want to make that clear. We knew it. It was all for fun. Everything is good. Anyway, I agree. That game sort of didn't go as expected. I'm not going near 45.5. If anything, though, there's not going to be a Chiefs game where it's just going to be like pitter patter. Like, there's going to be a lot of scoring one way or another. So if anything, I actually thought what you said originally, which was tease it down, I'd be almost more apt to do. What about the spread? 6.5. Do you think this ends up here? Do you think it moves one way or another? And do you like it at that number at all?
So initially I want to say yes, I like getting the Chiefs at anything less than a touchdown, especially at home. But they're just 1-8 ATS in their last 9 regular season games. And I don't know if that's just... They are usually, I guess, they're either in spreads that are too big and they get a little complacent at the end, or they have games like they did against the Ravens last week. It's an interesting number, and I don't know how to feel about them. I hate fading Patrick Mahomes. I admittedly was on them last night. 3.5 I thought was a great number, and I turned off the TV for a little while when they were up by about 12 or whatever they were. I thought it was over, and obviously that was not the case. Lamar Jackson had other plans, but I think you'd have to lay the points take the points with the Chargers at this point. I think Justin Herbert is almost good enough. He's obviously not Patrick Mahomes, but he can sling it just as well as anybody else in the NFL. And I like a lot of these defenders on this Chargers team. If there's someone that can cover some of these guys, it's guys like Derwin James and Bosa is the type of guy that you can get some pressure on Mahomes, which is the key to getting to them.
Yeah, the Chargers defense is very solid, and they usually are before they eventually succumb to injuries like they do every single year. But that's the thing. Like, I mean, I don't think the public generally really focuses on the fact that as great as the Chiefs are, as great as Mahomes is, they're not great against the spread. That's just, not really what they do. So at 6.5, I mean, that's a great line. Because that's basically begging the public better to take the Chiefs at this point, but it's just, I bet you it just hangs out there the whole time. I don't think you need to make a move. You like it either way, it's probably going to stay there. I don't see it getting up to 7. I don't see it really going down. So I think that's where it ends up. It's probably a stay away for me just because I'm terrified, basically, of what we would see. How about the Jaguars hosting the Cardinals? The Cardinals are laying 7.5, and the total is 52.
I really dislike the number. I dislike laying more than a touchdown with a road team. But this Jaguars team, I am I am waiting for the Urban Meyer, like, I'm just done with this press conference.
Yep.
I think they are one of the most underprepared teams in the NFL. I've watched enough of the games the last 2 weeks to say, like, they don't look competitive. They just don't look like a competitive football team right now. And then he goes out there last week and those rumors about USC comes out and he looks like my kid when I've caught him doing something wrong. I see the milk. There's the milk on the counter. Did you spill that milk? No, I don't. It's a really weird situation. I think Trevor Lawrence has shown some potential for what he can be. I just don't know if that's going to be able to happen under Urban Meyer. He hates giving James Robinson the football. I'm sure the fantasy pros guys hate all. Like, he's the most talented skill position player on that roster. Now Shenault isn't getting involved either. I just don't know what they're doing there. So I'd have to take the points with the Cardinals, particularly just also because of the way the Cardinals have played through the first 2 weeks, particularly Kyler Murray.
Yeah, this strikes me as a game that probably the quote-unquote sharp bettors are going to hit the Jaguars, because I remember this with the Jets last year where, I try to, talk to whoever I know about, and they would always be like, there's value on the Jets on this number. Yeah. And I would just watch them and I'd be like, there's no value on the Jets. Like, I understand a system, right? Something, a professional bettor completely understand why a model says this number is too good. But there are teams like the Jets last year, and you're absolutely right, with the Jaguars this year, and it's really because of the coaching staff. You're absolutely right. I mean, this is as quickly as I've ever seen basically everyone realize that a coach is completely just mentally checked out, in over his head, despised by his own players. Like, just everything is terrible. You can't take the Jaguars no matter what it is. I'll probably fire on the Cardinals. It's not getting better. It's not getting better. That's
if you like the Cardinals, get it now. Yeah,
get it now, because it's not getting better. But man, that is ugly. But yeah, it's a big line. I mean, over touchdown there. The books. It's very transparent what the books are doing right now. Like, it's very clear when they want you to bet, where they want you to bet, and stuff like that. And people will. So I agree. All right, so you don't like road teams laying more than a touchdown. You've got the Ravens then going to Detroit, where this is the middle of the game. As I speak right now, it's a little less than a minute left in halftime, and the Lions are putting up another competitive effort. The Ravens here are laying 9, and the total is 49.5. Now, by the time people listen to this, Andrew, it might be different, because who knows, if the Lions beat the Packers in this game, maybe that line comes down a little bit. But for now, 49.5. with the spread of the Ravens as the road team laying 9. What do you think?
I can't believe I'm saying this, but take the Lions and the 9 points. The Ravens are coming off a huge comeback win last night. They get that, even Lamar Jackson, get that monkey off their back against the Chiefs. So this is as stereotypical of a letdown spot as there could be for the Ravens, who, frankly, if not for some crazy heroics from Lamar Jackson like last night and a fumble, they don't win that game. They come into this game and they're 0-2 probably. And I just don't. The Lions are playing well. I still can't believe that. I'm sure Aaron Rodgers is doing this just to mess with us all. This is the Aaron Rodgers experience we're getting this year, and it's going to be an interesting one. But you can't deny the Lions at least being competitive. Maybe that's the difference between a guy like Dan Campbell and Urban Meyer. Like, this guy is going to die for this football team, and these players seem to put it on the line for him, even if you think his coaching strategies don't make any sense. Yeah. But like, the actual X's and O's of Dan Campbell can be debated pretty easily. But those guys seem to play hard for him. So
it's half the battle, man. Like, it's if you want to live and die for your coach, that is half the battle. There have been plenty of coaches who aren't phenomenal, X's and O's type of guys, but who their team goes out there and they don't give up. And again, you're right. It's a great point because we were joking again when we were trying to come up with a time to record this podcast and we're going through our schedules. And I was like, well, I mean, we can do it during Monday Night Football, man. Like, it's okay with me. And you were like, yeah, I really want to see whether or not Rodgers is actually tanking, but I'm willing to do it there. I don't know, but I think the Lions really do just, they play hard and they look okay. And Jared Goff looks okay. It looks fine right now, at least. So whatever's going on, I agree with you. As of right now, you got to take the points. Now, I'm interested to see if the Lions win this game out of curiosity, so you can predict, because who knows exactly what's going to happen. If the Lions win this game, what do you think that spread goes to? It's 9 as we record this.
It'll probably approach 7.5, I would say.
Yeah.
I think that would be the number it kind of lands on after that.
And I'm still saying that I expect the Packers to pull this one out. So we'll see if that happens. Let's go to another big one. This is the home team laying 9. It's the Bills laying 9 to the Washington football team. And the total is pretty low here at 46. What do you think?
I want to say over here just because of how impressive Josh Allen has looked. That offense has looked. The defense obviously threw up a shutout last week against Jacoby Brissett.
Right.
But and now they go against Taylor Heineke. But Heineke had his moments last week. That's against the Giants defense, which is a little different, obviously. But the thing for me about why I like the over, I went in with obviously some expectations surrounding this Washington football team defense, and that just hasn't come to fruition at this point. Besides Chase Young is a freak and he's very good, and I expect that defensive line to be better. They've got that all SEC front line, all first round guys, but they just were not getting enough pressure on Daniel Jones. Luckily, it doesn't matter because Daniel Jones will sometimes just on the run he seems fine, but give him a clean pocket and just overthrow a guy by 5 yards. But I was shocked about how little pressure they were getting on him when they needed it, sort of thing. And the secondary had its problems as well. Landon Collins, while a great run stuffer, still has his issues defending the deep ball, and Josh Allen's going to be throwing some deep in this one. So
yeah, I agree with you. I don't have a great feel for the spread. It seems a little high to me. I mean, Washington could put up points with Taylor Heineke, and the Bills, I know, again, you mentioned it, they pitched a shutout in this last game, and their defense has looked good, looked good against Pittsburgh as well. But again, I think that's more on the lack of offense of the two opposing teams than it is on their defense necessarily. I mean, they have a great pass defense and everything, but Washington is able to move the ball and put up points. The Bills are as well. Their offense hasn't looked great right now, but we know what it can do. So at 46, this is a number I'd hammer immediately, actually, right now. Like that, I agree with you. The over is a play that I really like. I'd probably stay away from the spread, at least for right now. Yeah, you agree?
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that.
Browns are hosting the Bears. The Browns are a lot of 7.5 point lines right now. The Browns are 7.5 point favorites. Total 46.5. What do you think?
Just this, we have the theme tonight. It's just like, so the books clearly want us to go take those points with the Bears there, it looks like. But I'm a big Justin Fields guy. He was my, I believe, second-rated quarterback coming into this draft. I think he has a very good potential. He obviously had some jitters in that game, but I think that also comes partly because the Bears just have been refusing to give him first team reps. And if you give him some first team reps and you give him some real practice, then maybe he can show what he's more capable of. I guess I saw today, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but Andy Dalton is okay and he will be the starter if healthy. Is that
This is correct. He's okay in that he doesn't have serious damage, but it doesn't mean that he's going to be able to start this week or anything like that. But he will. They came out and said he will be the starter when healthy, because why not?
Because Matt Nagy, I guess. I don't know. The Bears played much better last week overall. I thought the Bengals were going to win that game just because of the Bears situation. So I was impressed with the Bears defense in that game, and the Bears defense is still good, so they'll be able to keep them in this football game. So, and the Browns had trouble putting away the Texans last week.
Yeah.
I expected the Browns to cover that spread. I lined it myself at about -14 last week, so I took the Browns -12.5, and I got burned on it. So this is how I think I'll probably have to do what the books are asking me and take that +7.5 points with the Bears.
I'll take the bait. I'll take the bait now. I mean, I will. Bottom line is this: like, I get that the Browns run the ball beautifully. I get that their system is great, and they've got, if all else fails, they can go to Hooper, they can go to Njoku. That's totally fine. But we don't know if Odell Beckham Jr. is going to play in this game. Jarvis Landry's out. We already know that. Baker's banged up. Like, he's okay. He's going to play. But he's banged up. Like, he's not 100%. And if you get Fields with a full week of basically being like your guy, and here's the thing, whatever you think about Matt Nagy, like, there's no way that they went into this entire season, Andrew, basically refusing to have in their book somewhere buried a game plan that revolves around Justin Fields, right? Like, this was happening.
Yeah.
Eventually. So get it into the game plan right now. Let him just open it up. I mean, think about what I know it didn't look good against 49ers, but think about what the Eagles were able to do when they first started against Atlanta, and you can, build your game plan around a running quarterback. You can do a lot. Fields is very talented. I will take the bait. I understand. Like, that's fine. And they seem totally comfortable with it. And there's no surprises here, by the way. I'm sure they're baking in the fact that Beckham's not going to play. They know Landry's not going to play. They don't care. They want you to do it. We're taking the plunge together.
We're taking the plunge. Yeah, let's do it.
Let's go all day long. Let's go to the Colts are visiting the Titans. The Titans are currently laying 5.5. There's some fives out there. It vacillates between 5 and 5.5. The total is 48. We obviously have the Wentz situation here where, we don't know whether or not it's going to play. From everything I see, it seems to suggest that it's doubtful. Apparently he's got ankle issues on both legs, or I don't know, both ankles. So it just seems unlikely to me, but who knows? So what do you think right now? 5, 5.5, one or the other?
I'd probably, I think we finally saw the Titans in the second half of that game against the Seahawks. The real Titans, they're like, oh yeah, we got Derrick Henry. I guess we'll start giving him the ball again. The defense is still obviously a huge issue for that team, but is it going to be Jacob Eason then if it's not?
It will be. You better believe it.
That's
take the Titans now. That is what I'm saying.
Yeah, before that gets to 6 points. If you can get
I've already done it. I've already done it. And good. By the way, put Wentz in there. I still am taking them at 5. No,
I think so too.
They played very well, better than I expected, actually, against the Rams. Michael Pittman Jr. had a fantastic game and looked good. They got Pascal involved. It wasn't the same week one, let me just dink and dunk to Nyheim Hines and Jonathan Taylor. Like, they got the rest of the guys involved, which they have to, because you can't do that, every single time. So they look good. Their defense is fine, but I was all over one of my bets last week was the Titans getting 6 or 5.5 or whatever it was against the Seahawks, because I was very clear. I thought week one was a lot of just COVID, the issues that they had. They didn't play a lot in the preseason together. Julio Jones wasn't acclimated yet to the offense. You give Mike Vrabel a full week of practice, I think they're going to be okay. It took a half. They finally got it together. I think you're going to see this again. I think they're going to put up a lot of points. It's not a number that I would scream or pound the desk for necessarily if Wentz is healthy. But I think even if he plays, he's going to be limited. And I just think that it's a recipe for a disaster for them. So I'm taking the Titans now. I don't think this number moves. I don't think if Wentz is declared in that this number drops or anything like that to 4. I think
he's baked in there, yeah.
Yep, I think so too. So I would take it there. Let's go to the Patriots at home. They are laying 3 to the Saints, and the total, is 43. So a low total here, obviously, with neither team an offensive juggernaut. The Saints go from whooping the Packers in week 1 in the Aaron Rodgers tank fest, and then they just look absolutely terrible in this most recent game. What do you think here? Patriots laying 3 to the Saints at home.
I think I'm not a big Mac Jones guy, so but they have done what they always do. The Patriots have done what they always do. They've built a game plan that is going to play to his strengths, and he's an accurate quarterback who can read the field quickly, and he's got a high football IQ, and they're going to take advantage of that. They're going to run the football with Damian Harris all game, and I think that they'll be able to run it. The Saints have a strong defense, but I think in this situation at home, the public will be on the Patriots in this game, so I would bet it before it goes above that key number of 3.
I agree with you. I would be fine because I do think that the worst case scenario is a push. But I like, and the Saints are really banged up on defense too. Lattimore didn't play. Like, who knows if he's going to be back? I know it's not exactly the same because it's not really the offense. They don't have the alpha number one wide receiver or anything like that. I will say, by the way, as I look at the various lines on BettingPros.com, it is 3 every book. FoxBet has it right now at 2.5. So if you are listening right now, check FoxBet if you have access to that. Go hit that for sure because I would love that. Total is low here. What do you think about that? 43. I mean, neither team seems like they're going to put up points, which probably means they're going to combine for like 65 or something like that. But what do you think realistically of 43?
I realistically think it's a good number, and I'd probably, if you put a gun to my head, I'd say go under. But it'll probably end, like you said, it'll probably end up scoring 60 points because the NFL so far this year. But I think it's a pretty decent number. I'm probably not going to touch it. I would lean towards the under because of Mac Jones and Jameis Winston, and those are the starting quarterbacks in this game. Yeah. And the Patriots defense is looking better each week as well. So I'm not going to put any faith in them putting up the points. But like for me, like I said, it's a stay away.
Okay, how about the Falcons visiting the Giants? Now, the consensus line is 3.5, but as I look, it's really split down the middle between 3 and 3.5. I mean, BetMGM is at 3, FanDuel is at 3, DraftKings and Fox Bet are at 3.5. So if that matters to you, you can let me know. But the Giants are at home. They're laying 3.5 to the Falcons. The total's 48.5. So that's, not the highest total on the board, but certainly some points here expected. What do you think there?
I'll probably stay away from the side in this one because I have literally no idea how to gauge what the Giants did. They showed up on a Thursday nighter. Like, Daniel Jones has his best games on Thursday nights. Despite the fact that he loses, he plays well, and then they lose, and then the rest of the time he's just awful. And the Falcons have just are the Falcons right now. I guess we can call them a dumpster fire or whatever we want to call them. It's not good right now, but they put up some points at the end of that Bucks game. So I'm just looking at the over right here. Probably 48.5 is a lot of points for some bad teams, but I still think this is probably the best play in the game. Yep. In a game that I would generally stay away from for the most part, but if my favorite play would be that over 40.5.
I agree with you because I do think that, I think everybody kind of looked at the Falcons when they played the Eagles and they were like, oh my God, this is the worst team I've ever seen. And other than the fact that Matt Ryan threw 2 pick sixes at the end that really made the final score lopsided, like they kind of hung in there with the Bucks. Yeah. They were able to move the ball. Like I realized like the Bucks were ahead. So, who knows what they kind of laid back on defense a little bit, but they were able to move the ball. Cordero Patterson was somehow very involved. Calvin Ridley caught a touchdown. I don't know where we are where Cordero Patterson is like the man, but whatever. But they will be able to put up points here for sure. The Giants will too, just because, Daniel Jones, you do mention it on the run. He has looked good, and Sterling Shepard looks good. Galladay will get more involved. Saquon Barkley with another 10 days of rest here. They're designing a lot of designed runs for Daniel Jones that look good. They'll put up points here, and their defense is not strong enough to kind of hold a team like the Falcons that can at least move the ball. They have a veteran quarterback. They have an alpha wide receiver. They have some other playmakers with Pitts, even Mike Davis. So I agree with you. I'd hit the over. I'd hit it now at 48.5 because I feel pretty confident that's going over. So
that'll be a public play towards the weekend. So yeah, go for it.
I love it. I don't care. I love being public. This one. So Andrew, I don't know what you think about this, but Matt Peralt, who does hosts our Daily Juice podcast, he always says that when a line is between 4.5 and 5.5, somewhere around there, that the books are kind of just throwing up their hands and basically being like, we don't exactly know what to do here. That's apparently what we have in this game, with the Steelers are laying 4.5 points to the Bengals. Total is low, 44. Divisional game. Joe Burrow looked absolutely horrific for most of that game and then threw 2 touchdown passes. So what do you think? The Steelers don't look much better, realistically. So I don't know. What do you do here at 4.5?
I think I take the points. But I think we wait. If you're going to take the points with the Bengals, this will be a game. The Steelers are the more public team, and they'll get bet up, I think, closer to kickoff. So I think we wait on the Bengals, and then we take the points with them in that game, despite admittedly not knowing how this game is going to go at all. Your description of Joe Burrow there was perfect, and they have so many what seem like elite playmakers, but everyone made fun of them at the draft because they didn't take Penny Sewell, because it doesn't matter who you're throwing to if you're on your butt. And that's the Bengals. There's still the Bengals problem so far this season, that offensive line play. And I have really, Najee Harris is a terrific player for the Steelers. They have some good young guys. It sounds like Deontay Johnson's okay as well. Nothing serious there, which is good for them. But I'm starting to think that we're seeing the end of the Roethlisberger effectiveness as a starting NFL quarterback.
Yeah, I want nothing to do with this game. I honestly, because I mean, and I get it. I think you're right though. If you do like the Bengals, you can wait it, because I think it's going to go up. Because people still, myself too, dude. I fight like an internal bias to like the Steelers. I really do, to be like, oh, they'll be fine. They'll be all right. Tomlin will figure it out. They'll be fine. I don't care that they have maybe the worst offensive line in football. I don't care that Ben's 1,000 years old and looks like, oh my God, let me get the ball out before somebody destroys me. I don't care. I want to bet the Steelers. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to fight my internal bias, and I'm just going to stay away completely. But I agree with you that if you like the Steelers, probably your best bet is to get on it now. If you do not, if you like the Bengals, I would wait. So let's talk about the game that I'll probably be watching, more closely than most people in the country, and that is the Broncos hosting the Jets. The Broncos are currently 11-point favorites, and the total is 41.5. You don't see that often, by the way, where a team is double-digit favorites and the total is, fall out of bed and you can basically hit it. So what do you think? This is a Broncos team. Everybody knows, right? You go into Denver early on in the season, that's where teams always run into trouble, because it's a very difficult place to play early in the season when conditioning isn't up yet. They get hit by it a little bit. They don't really know. And then you also have the Jets that are just like a dumpster fire, as we basically call them, unsurprisingly. What do you think here at 11 and 41.5?
11. So the look ahead line for this game, if you were into those kind of things, I believe it was 6.5 or something like that. Yep. And the first 2 weeks of football have really changed that. The Broncos also have Teddy Two Gloves, who is Teddy Covers now. Yep. I think it's something, he covered the first 2 games this year, so that makes him something like 39 and I think 11. I want to say ATS in his career as a starter. It's something around that. It's close to 80% cover rate, which is just absurd. But this number is so big, and the total is so small. The rule is, if the spread is this big and the total is that small, you almost have to take the underdog. You
have to, right? And this is someone who again. Look, I can be wrong. I feel fine with Zach Wilson right now. I mean, that offensive line is horrific. I'm not going to blame him for all the picks. It's whatever. I like Robert Saleh. I think long term they'll probably be okay. This year they're going to be terrible. I don't want to do this. I don't want to take a Jets team that has no offensive line, that looks completely lost, that nobody in the world other than people who work for the team can name who starts in their secondary. But at this point, 41.5, and it's an 11-point spread. How do you not take the Jets in this situation, right? That's insane. And the thing is, I guess the Sharps will probably hit it, right?
But I think they already have, because it started at 11.5, and we're down to 11 now. But
FanDuel, by the way, it's 10.5. So look at that. At some spots it's 10.5.
So to me, I think they've probably already moved it, I would say. So as the kickoff comes, then the public guys are going to be like, oh yeah, the Jets suck. We'll just take the Broncos. They're 2-0 ATS. Teddy Two Gloves always covers. And then, I don't know, maybe we can get it back up to 11's one of those weird football numbers too. Yeah. Just like 4.5, 5. It is the above the double digit version of 4.5 or 5. So they don't know really what to do. I guess they're thinking the Jets could either cover or lose by 30 is the difference there. They have no idea what's going to happen. I have no idea what's going to happen. I'll wait. If you're going to make me make a bet, I'll wait, because I think the public is going to push it in the Broncos' favor, so we're going to wait and take the Jets as underdogs right before kickoff.
I am glad I'm not doing. Ian McMillan was on earlier last week, and he joked about the fact that he was betting every single game this year, like, and making it publicly. I'm thankful that I don't have to do that. I think the Jets are the right side. I think if I was a professional gambler, I would basically be like, I have to take the Jets here because this is way too much value. I'm not a professional gambler, thankfully. I gamble, but not like this. So I will not be dabbling in this. I would prefer just to watch. But 11's too many points given the total. Too many points. Disgusting. Okay, the Raiders are hosting the Dolphins. The Raiders are laying 3.5, and the total is 45.5. There are a ton of question marks in this game. Tua may play. We don't know. I'm not expecting him to play. I mean, he's got the rib issue. It's pain tolerance at this point, but if you've ever done anything to your ribs, like it's basically impossible to do anything, and he was carted off. You've also got the Raiders, who have Derek Carr, John Gruden basically being like, I think he'll play with his ankle injury that he injured at the very end. Josh Jacobs probably not going to play. The Raiders are off to a fantastic start right now. They look dynamite, especially offensively. So what do you think here?
If Derek Carr was healthy and I knew he was 100%, I think you just go lay the points with the Raiders as quickly as possible, just because of all the other question marks the Dolphins have. And I don't believe what I see. That's the other problem, though, with the Raiders. This is my only trepidation with them is, do you believe, are the Raiders good? Like, do we think they're good or not? Like, yeah, they came back and won that game against the Ravens, but the Ravens essentially choked that game away at the end. They should have. It's another one of those. They should have had so many opportunities to put the Raiders away and just couldn't do it for some reason. And then they go out and go into Pittsburgh and win that game. Henry Ruggs finally had a good game, which was great. I think they have two really like him with Bryan Edwards are two very good second-year receivers that I think some most like professional fantasy guys are talking about, but I don't know if a lot of public guys are like, oh, Bryan Edwards. Yeah. But they have some really, and with Darren Waller, there's some really good skill position players there, and the Dolphins just Tua got hurt last week, but that defense didn't. Josh Allen just kind of eviscerated them, so it would be the Raiders for me.
I mean, I think that once Tua went out, like the Bills were just like, we're cool, and the whole team just kind of, Jacoby Brissett's a perfectly capable quarterback, very tough to get in there when you haven't taken any reps and anything like that. Yeah, I mean, by the way, I will say the consensus line is 3.5. Betting Pros. The majority of the lines that I see right here are at 3.5, but there are a bunch of 4s out there. There's a 4.5 out there at PointsBet and FoxBet, so it's all over the place right now, and I think that understandably, books are a little uncertain of how to handle the injury concerns right now, as am I. So I'm kind of buying what we're seeing from the Raiders so long as Derek Carr is healthy, because I think a lot of it is just Carr has been an underrated quarterback for a couple of years here. You've got like one of the best tight ends in football in Darren Waller, and you do have the playmakers. Like you said, Henry Ruggs can stretch the field. Bryan Edwards underrated. Hunter Renfrow is underrated. He's there as well. So with or without Josh Jacobs, I agree with you. I feel a little uncertain about it just because of obviously what we've got with all the injuries and stuff like that. So
yeah, keep your eye on it and just like kind of play a wait and see mentality.
If Tua is healthy, out of curiosity, if he does play in this game, do you think that the line moves down from 3.5?
I don't think so. I don't think it moves too much from there.
And I think, by the way, like it's unclear because they've really only had it now for this one game with fans there. But what the home field advantage is like in Las Vegas, the people are crazy there, right? Like the fans are raucous. You also got to go to Vegas and hang out for like 3 days when you're a visiting team. Somebody who has done that, I'm sure you have as well, or maybe not.
Yes,
it takes a toll on you.
For sure.
Probably a young man, maybe in your 20s or 30s. It has an impact. But anyway, so I think if anything, I probably do like the Raiders, but I'm probably staying away. This game is going to be fun to watch. The Vikings are hosting the Seahawks. The Seahawks are 1.5-point favorites. The spread, the total is an astronomical 55 points. What do you think?
I would side with the Seahawks just because of literally it just comes down to they have the better quarterback in this matchup, and I don't really know how else to read the rest of those teams at this point. The Vikings are a big enigma to me, and I don't know how to read them at all at this point. But so, and then the Seahawks always have their issues. The defense is looking porous again, and Russell Wilson is still running around like he always does, sometimes when he needs to, sometimes when he doesn't need to, which is the problem that some people think it is. But but just because of his talent alone and the connection he's had with like Lockett right now, and then Metcalf hasn't even really gotten going yet. Carson had a decent week last week, and I think that gives them the edge, and I'd probably bet the Seahawks here.
I agree with you. I felt really bad for the Vikings, and I was on the Vikings. It was kind of my best bet of the weekend, even though it made me vomit, right? Like to have them getting 4.5 and stuff like that. But look, offensively, they can hang. They can hang with pretty much anyone, as long as Dalvin Cook, obviously he was banged up, he went in and out. But as long as he's healthy, Justin Jefferson is elite. Adam Thielen still has gas left in the tank. Suddenly KJ Osborne is filling that void left when Irv Smith Jr. got injured. They can really do some damage offensively, which is why the total at 55.
It's so high.
So high. It's really hard to take it over on a 55. I'm not taking the under, I'll tell you that. But I agree with you. I do think, especially at coming off a loss like they did, a rough loss for the Seahawks, I think they're going to put their foot on the gas, and I don't think they're going to take it off in this game. So I agree with you, especially, the point spread is 1.5. It doesn't really matter at that point, so I will take it. Next game is going to be good. The Rams are hosting the Bucs. The Rams are laying a point, and the total is 54.5. What do you think?
I think you can't fade Tom Brady at this point. I think that's just, even though they let Atlanta stick around in that game probably a little longer than the Bucs probably would have liked. But Tom Brady has 9 touchdowns and no interceptions in his through 2 games in his age 44 season. The defense is, gave up some yards to the Falcons last week. I still think that's a pretty good unit, and I'd have to. Stafford's been fantastic, and one of the big bets I'm kicking myself for not making early in the season was him to win MVP. The connection with Cooper Kupp has been so good, and I'm kicking myself for missing that one as well.
Yeah,
but I just don't. I think the Bucs have a good enough offensive line to keep Aaron Donald at bay enough to give Tom Brady the time he needs to find his spots when he needs to. And they just have so many ways. Like Gronk looks young. Antonio Brown's going to go over his receiving yards total by like week 8. Like Chris Godwin, what are you going to do? There's a lot of problems. They present a lot of problems.
They do. Realistically, and I think that the Rams, as good as they've looked, they let the Bears hang around a little bit in the opening game. They eventually put it away, but they let the Colts hang around. And the Colts are a very, very, solid football team overall, but they're not the Bucs. And the Bucs right now, it really is, with Gronk, who I really didn't see this coming. I didn't really see it coming last year. I certainly didn't see it coming this year, given his age, given how much abuse. When you have those 4 options, who cares if you can run the ball? It really doesn't matter if you have those 4 options, right? It's just going to be remarkable. I'm not going near the total. Again, these giant totals, dude, I can't. I just can't. I can't. I'm just going to stay away. All right, let's go to Sunday night game. The 49ers are currently laying 3.5 points to the Packers. The total is 47.5. Again, this game is going on right now. The Packers are driving at 17-14 Lions. Great game.
It's still the Lions.
It's still Lions, dude. Still Lions. I don't know. 3.5 points here with the 49ers at home. What do you think?
Probably the Niners. We can joke about Aaron Rodgers all we want, but it's just they're losing to the Lions right now. We're talking about that, so I like the Niners haven't been what they've probably expected to be at this point. They've had some good performances. Last week was not probably what they expected. But against this Packers team, I think it's got to be the Niners.
The fact that this is happening, and again, this is great because it's live reaction, and we don't know how it ends. Maybe they win by 25 points, right? Maybe. But the fact that this is what is happening right now at Lambeau, after they were embarrassed in Week 1 against the Lions, is mind-boggling to me. It's crazy, to the point where unless something dramatically different happens at the end of this game, I think you do have to take the Niners. It's gross. I don't really want to. And unless something crazy happens in this game, I don't really see the spread moving. I mean, maybe it goes to 3, I guess, in spots. It's 4 at DraftKings where I
see some 4s, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of 4s. So I don't really know if you get to 3, but it's disgusting. Let's get to a game that everybody wants to watch, Monday Night Football. It is the Eagles visiting the Cowboys. Cowboys are favored by 4. The total is 51.5. The 4 spread, which is, almost the equivalent, not quite. Again, there's some 3.5s out there, but the 4 is a little bit like, I don't know. Strikes me as a little high in this game for me for the spread. Like, I'm surprised to see it at 4. I don't know if you are, if you agree, or you think that that's about right.
I think it's about right. I don't think you can make the you get it under 3 points and people would just hammer the Cowboys. Mm-hmm. And the Eagles Jalen Hurts has been impressive so far, and the Cowboys, while they only gave up I'm going to say 17, was it 20 to 17 or whatever it was?
20 to 17, correct.
Yes, 20 to 17. They only gave up 17. I feel like they should have given up 31 in that game.
Of course.
So we can't really take anything away from that point total there, and I believe Jalen Hurts is the type of guy that can really do some damage against that Cowboys defense. It'll be interesting to see how they deploy Micah Parsons against him. Mm-hmm. But if he's been getting into the backfield quite quickly, and it's been impressive to watch so far. But if he just kind of blows some assignments there, I think there could be a lot of running room for Jalen Hurts in this one. Yeah. And I think he could be the difference. So I'd probably lean towards the Eagles in getting the points in this one. Yep. But Dak has looked great in his return, but the Dallas defense is just too iffy for me.
Yeah, I'm taking the points, and I feel fine with
You
it.
feel good about it. Yeah, you said that very confidently.
I'm taking this points right now. I will have fired on this the second we're done with this podcast.
Good.
I think that the Eagles are completely live to win this game. I mean, I think they look good against Atlanta, and I get that it was Atlanta and everything like that, but I think their defense is legitimate. They've got some offense. They've got some issues again on the lines and stuff like that. They lost Graham, everything like that. But remember, the Cowboys have a ton of issues. Lyle Collins is out. They've just, and Dak, he does look good, but it's not perfect, man. Like, I feel like you watch some of those throws, there's not the usual zip on some of those throws. He's still great. He's a phenomenal. The running backs are both great. Pollard is in there. Zeke is in there. Amari Cooper is a little banged up, by the way, which does, not that.
Talking about zip, though, I think Zeke has lost some zip. Like, he doesn't. He's still a great running back, sure, like you said, but he just doesn't have that, I don't know, that second gear that we've been used to him over that year, it seems like.
I'm holding off for now to see how I feel about it. But Pollard looks great when he's in there.
Oh, he does. He looks electric, yeah.
He does. Yeah. He really does, which he's earning those touches. But for me, what I really think is that I think the Eagles' defense is legitimate. I mean, San Francisco certainly struggled a bit, against it, and obviously Atlanta. And I think that their offense is going to be able to move the ball pretty well on this Cowboys team. I think they're going to keep it close. So I think if you're giving me more than a field goal at this point, if it dropped to 3.5, I'd be okay. I'm going to hit it now. I don't think it's going to drop because you're right. If it drops down too much, it's just going to be nonstop Cowboys, and I don't think the books really want that necessarily.
No,
but I'm taking the Eagles here. I feel okay about it. So that's one of the bets. And again, on Thursday,
rivalry game,
it's a divisional game, right? It's always tight, like So again, one of these games that I feel pretty comfortable with. My guess is I'm going to take them on Thursday. It's my guess. I need to dive into it a little bit more when I talk about my best bets. You won't be here for that, but I do hope that you will join us again later this season because I enjoy talking to you. Your insight is great, and obviously you joined us on what is, I assume, the biggest day in your country's history when you have this election day, but I really didn't even know it was happening, so my bad.
I'm trying to see the results right now. The Liberals are leading right now, so that's Justin Trudeau's party.
Okay.
They have 66 seats to the completely different electoral system here as opposed to the states. You have to win. You win your riding. So I'm in a certain riding. I am in a riding called Dartmouth Cole Harbour. I vote for the member of parliament. His name is Darren Fisher in my riding. I vote for him, and a vote for him is essentially a vote for Trudeau. Whoever gets the most elected candidates, will form government, and they need 170 seats for a majority, and the Liberals are at 66, with the Conservatives at 36, the New Democrats at 11, the Bloc Québécois at 8, and the Green Party with 1. So there's your Betting Pros Canada election live update.
I understood about half the words of those sentences, so that'll be fine, but I'm sure it's a wonderful day for you. I appreciate you taking the time during this historic day to come on here and talk a little football with me. I'd love to have you back on the show. But before we get to there, tell everybody where they can find more of you and your incredible work, which, by the way, Andrew's not like just a football guy. Andrew does everything. He's a great follower on Twitter, but tell everybody about it.
You can find me on Twitter at covers_Caley. That's Caley. I tweet Blue Jays picks every day. Admittedly, I did it because I'm a diehard Blue Jays fan, and I just wanted to see if that would benefit me. And that has actually gone pretty well to this point this year.
I follow it. I know. I trail you a lot. It's done well, yes.
It's done pretty well, so I'm happy with that. And college football has been a bit of a disaster recently. So admittedly, hopefully we bounce back with college football here this week. But I love putting out content for people. And whether the picks are right or wrong, the research is always there. I'm always trying to find those angles.
No, it's great. You do great stuff, honestly, over at Covers. Everyone at Covers does great stuff. But I do enjoy you as a follow, and I have trailed a lot of your Blue Jays plays, and they have been really good, so keep them coming.
Fingers crossed.
For sure, fingers crossed. Good luck, man. I'm telling you, as a Mets fan, no Yankees, whatever you got to do, keep them out of the playoffs. All right,
try.
So as I mentioned, you guys know at this point, we'll be back later this week. Joe and Scott Bogman will be doing a college football breakdown, and then I'll be back on Thursday doing our best bets with a guest from Alex Kaloje over from the Action Network. So again, enjoy the rest of your week. We're going to go watch the end of this incredible football game where the Packers have just taken the lead. Who the heck knows what's happening, man? Until then, take it easy and enjoy the rest of your week.